You ever have one of those nights where a police car screeches to a stop in front of your cabin, red and blue lights flashing through the pine trees, and you know in your bones this isn't just another neighborly visit? Yeah, that was me. There was Karen standing with her arms folded like she was holding the whole HOA together by sheer willpower, and her son Dylan pointing at my power bike like it was Exhibit A in some ridiculous crime. Here's the twist right then. I was actually on the phone with the state attorney himself, giving him the rundown on a community fund fraud case that Karen and her buddies had no idea I'd uncovered. I had files all over the table, my laptop humming voice steady, until I caught a glimpse of that circus outside my window. "Sir, the police are here," my neighbor Mike whispered from the porch, and I'll tell you, his voice had just enough panic to make me realize this was no ordinary HOA spat. Things were about to get loud. The officer stepped out, hand on his belt, sizing us up like he'd stumbled into a live episode of Cops. I told the state attorney, "Sir, I might have to call you back." Things just took a turn. I wasn't wrong. And before I could even open my mouth, Karen started hollering, "That man is threatening my son. He refuses to give him the power bike. He's hiding something in there." I hadn't said a word yet. The officer turned to me, face unreadable, and just as I braced myself to explain Dylan, her pride and joy bolted for my bike. What happened next froze everyone in place. 3 days ago, things were, well, not peaceful, but at least predictable. I'd moved out to Brookside County for some quiet after years of city noise, found myself a cabin on 3 acres at the edge of an HOA neighborhood. Not even a member, just unlucky enough to share a driveway with them. Karen had been a thorn from day one, acting like she ran the place because she'd won Resident of the Month for her rose bushes once. Dylan, meanwhile, was your classic entitled teen, always speeding on his dirt bike, telling everyone to get out of his way. My power bike. That was my one luxury. A custom-built gleaming chrome built for winding country roads. The first time Dylan saw it, he marched right up like he was making a business offer. "Hey, old man, I'm 42, by the way. How much for the bike?" "It's not for sale, kid. Everything's for sale. Name your price." "It's not for sale. Go home." You'd think that'd be the end, right? Not with Karen in the picture. 2 hours later, she's banging on my door. "My son tells me you refused to sell him your bike. He's very disappointed. We think you should reconsider. It would be a kind gesture to the community." I laughed. She didn't. 2 days after that, I got the call from the state attorney needed evidence about HOA funds getting funneled into Karen's husband's construction company. I agreed to help. Suddenly, Karen's watching me from her porch, whispering with neighbors, watering her flowers for the 3rd time that day just to stare me down. Then came the cops. There I was, mid-call with the state attorney when Dylan tried again to get the bike. I told him no, he stormed off. And 10 minutes later, sirens. Karen out there in full drama mode, told the officer I was dangerous, uncooperative. Her son was traumatized. Dylan ran for my power bike. The officer yelled, "Hey, kid, stop," but too late. Dylan hopped on, revved the throttle, and the engine roared. And then disaster, he jerked too hard, lost control, and the bike shot into Karen's beloved rose bushes. Red petals exploded in the air like confetti at a bad wedding. Karen screamed, clutching her chest. "My roses, my award-winning roses." Dylan, face-planted in the mud sneakers, ruined the engine, died out with a cough. Everyone turned to me like I'd orchestrated the whole mess. "Don't look at me," I said, hands up. I told him to get off. Karen pointed at me, shaking. "See, officer? This man is dangerous. He planned this. Provoke my son." The officer just shook his head. "Ma'am, your son just stole his bike." "He was borrowing it," she snapped. "Everyone knows Jake doesn't care about this community. He's hiding things. We all see those strange people coming to his cabin." By strange people, she meant the state attorney's investigators. The officer finally calmed. Everyone told Karen nobody was searching my cabin without cause. Then as I tried to explain, a black SUV rolled up 3 people in suits, got out calm and purposeful. "We're with the state attorney's public integrity unit. Is this Jake Matthews?" My mouth was dry. Yes, sir. Karen tried to hijack the moment, accusing me of inciting Dylan hiding suspicious materials. One of the suits, Ms. Chen looked at her and deadpanned, "Ma'am, please step back to your property." For once, Karen was speechless. Inside, I showed the team all my evidence bank statements, HOA, meeting minutes, fake invoices, everything labeled and color-coded. Ms. Chen said empathy isn't weakness, it's clarity. Thank you for caring. I felt like someone had put a steady hand on my shoulder. They took one box of files, advised me to keep a backup, warned me not to talk to anyone about it, not out of guilt, just because things were about to get ugly. Sure enough, the smear campaign started. Posters went up around the neighborhood. Warning, dangerous individual. Mrs. Green, sweet lady from down the street, brought me cookies and said, "Don't believe a word. People forget kindness when fear shows up." Even the local kids needed help fixing their bikes, so I did. Gentle beats hard when it comes to chains, I told them. Mike, my neighbor, said, "You're building fans." "Don't want fans," I said, "just want neighbors." That night my power went out, only my cabin. I knew someone was coming for the files or maybe the bike. Sure enough, I caught Dylan and an older kid, Tyler, trying to steal the power bike out of my shed. "Don't do this, Dylan." He froze scared. Then Tyler pushed the bike toward the road just as a car with its headlights off rolled up to take them away. Blue and red lights flashed, deputies everywhere. Tyler bolted. Dylan froze. The power bike got smashed by a car trying to escape the law. Karen shrieked about lawsuits. Deputies cuffed Tyler and the neighborhood watched as everything spiraled. But it was bigger than anyone thought. The state attorney's team connected the HOA fraud to out-of-county land deals and organized crime. Karen's own husband got arrested on camera, her name splashed all over the news. The next night, after a neighborhood safety meeting where Karen tried to paint me as the villain, Dylan stood up and told the truth about the threats, the money, and the men his mom called to scare me off. The room went silent as the real story finally broke wide open. And it didn't end there. The mob guy's debt men came after Karen after the evidence, even after me. Gunshots in the night, floodlights, marshals, sheriff's cruisers, the whole works. I pulled Dylan down behind a porch rail as bullets hit the steps. Neighbors hit the dirt and deputies fought back in the dark. By dawn, one of the debt men was dead, the other in cuffs, and the worst was over, at least for now. Karen testified in federal court, hands shaking, voice breaking, but she gave it all up. Names, numbers, accounts, every thread. Her husband was indicted, so were contractors, and even a city councilman. Tyler, the runaway, came to my porch looking hollow and scared, asking for a deal. He got protection too. His testimony cracked the case wide open. The HOA dissolved itself in shame. The story made the news. Organized crime, racketeering, attempted murder, all started by a teenager wanting a power bike he couldn't have. Neighbors finally slept easy. Kids rode their bikes where deputies once stood guard. Karen's roses even started to grow back. Funny how it all comes back to choices, greed hiding as opportunity, fear growing in silence, people mistaking quiet for peace. But real peace, that's something you have to fight for. And sometimes quiet means you made it through. So let me ask, if your neighbor, your HOA, or even your own family stood between you and what was right, would you stay quiet? Or would you dig until you found the truth? No matter what crawled out with it. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. Tell me what justice looks like in your neighborhood. Let's see how many of us are ready to turn quiet back into peace.